Hi, everybody. I'm Hillary Atkin from the Atkin Report, and I'm thrilled to welcome Yetide Badaki for this edition of Hillary's Happy Hour. Yetide, how are you doing?
It's interesting time. So it's day by day, but as you can see, I've got some brighter colors on to lift the mood, and it's good to see you well.
You know,
So
I think the last time you and I were in a room together, not a Zoom, but a real room,
yeah,
was an event for American Gods. And I,
right.
along with millions of other fans, are eagerly awaiting season 3. But
Right.
I'm sure everybody would love to hear about your experiences over the past 2 seasons.
Right. It's this was a very new world for me. This was my first big series regular role after many years here in LA as a struggling actor, and I've learned so much. And I've met so much family along the way. And being a sci-fi geek, it's it's been quite a treat to basically get to see new chapters of a book that I had already enjoyed. So it's beyond describable, I would say, is the quickest way to put it.
Do you have any word on when production would resume?
Oh, when all of this incredible space that we're living in right now occurred, I was just wrapping up on the third season. So it just meant that I had to pack up a lot quicker than I would have planned. I would have usually tried to disassemble my life in Toronto over, a couple of weeks and then reassemble here in Los Angeles. But it ended up being a really quick move.
So, any idea of an air date yet?
Oh, see, I think the Men in Black would show up if
I know.
I was to spill anything like that. So I think we always say, watch this space.
Okay, we will, absolutely. But
Mhm.
I want to talk about another incredible role that you had on This Is Us.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear about how you worked with that, tight-knit group of actors and the
Yeah.
multi-generational family members they portrayed,
Yeah.
and what that experience was like during that season for you.
Um, they're incredible. They really are. I mean, already it was going to be a little difficult with scheduling because it meant flying, back and forth from Toronto while I'm shooting American Gods to LA to shoot This Is Us. It was very personal because it was the first time I ever got to play a Nigerian, being Nigerian born. Um, and like you mentioned, that cast is just wonderful. Sterling K. Brown is one of my favorite people. His authenticity, his talent, um, his kindness, uh, it's not something you easily forget. And especially me coming into this little tight-knit group, they all made me feel so welcome. Susan, Mandy, like everyone just they just opened their arms. So it was a real joy to be a part of.
Well, most people agree it's the best drama on broadcast television, and we know we're going to have it
Really?
around for a while more. So, something else to look forward to on the TV landscape.
Right.
But aside from you remember the whole crock pot subplot of that show, and much bigger than that, we've got two elephants in the room with us right now. And
Mhm.
the first is the coronavirus pandemic, and the second,
Yeah.
of course, institutionalized racism pandemic that has been a part of Hollywood since the beginning.
Right.
So I want to talk about the cold-blooded murder of George Floyd by Minneapolis police officers, and the unwarranted killings of other Black men and women by law enforcement. And over this past few weeks, I think our nation and the world has taken time to reflect, react, respond, protest, maybe hopefully make some changes. But what has this whole period been like for you?
First I have to take a breath with that. I know I'm not alone in this, in that every time you wake up and you see the news and you feel your life further being invalidated in front of you. I know that every moment that you deal with the microaggressions in everyday spaces, I know that even just existing right now for Black and brown people, people who have skin like me, it's a huge, it's a huge undertaking just to live. And I mean, if I'm speaking completely, fully, honestly, there's some days where it's not, it's not as easy to get up and deal with it all. There are some days where the weight of how much is going on and has been going on and continues to go on around us all feels like too much. But I've been speaking a lot about the North Star and the things that are bringing me hope and the things that are bringing strength and the continued resilience, which I cannot speak enough to that, to people getting up every day. And I try and go out and protest when I can. I try and donate where I can. I try and whatever I can do to be a part of the solution. I want to be there, and I'm further held up by all the people that continue to do it continuously and have been doing it even before it became this larger discussion that we are having right now. The hope in it all is that people are actually hearing, seeing the problem, and taking steps to change it. And that is the thing that gets me up every day, is that we are taking the steps to change it.
The studios, the networks, the streamers, the music companies, they've all been donating to social justice causes. They've all been renewing their calls for inclusion in their staffs. But what other changes do you think would be appropriate for these huge companies that basically run the entertainment industry to start making right now?
First off, it has to be holistic. It can't just be, oh, I donated this amount of money and I'm, cleared of this now and I can move on like nothing has happened. It has to be that decision makers in every area are being fully inclusive. And when I say fully inclusive, I'm talking about intersectionality across the board. That means that we're looking at inclusion, not inclusion, it's rebuilding, really. At this point, we have to just rebuild. And that means that everyone is a part of this. And so that's individuals with disabilities, that's our the LGBTQ community, that's because if you leave a space for hate anywhere, it will take root and it will grow. So we have to make sure that we're not allowing space for hate or for non-inclusion of our whole family. So I would say that people should be looking at who they're hiring in higher level positions, people behind the camera, directors, because you can't just have the diversity in front of the camera and the person who you have put there is looking to the other side and seeing nobody that looks like them. That does not solve the problem. Then you're also probably not portraying their experience as truthfully as it should be portrayed. So really, we're at a real rebuilding point. I'm happy that people are making statements. I am happy that people are donating, and I'm happy that they're willing to take the steps. But that means now they have to take that even further in every part of the work now.
What I am appreciating is a much, much, much greater awareness. And there's been a lot of discussion about baked in racism, institutionalized racism in the industry, and not just in this industry, but in every industry. But
yeah,
we're in this one, so we'll talk about this. And
right.
I have I was witness personally to a really incredibly sad example of this. I was a producer at the CBS station in Los Angeles, and the news director, a guy named Eric Sorensen, who rose to the level of his incompetence and later went on to run MSNBC, called all of the producers into a meeting in his office and said, "We need to hire a Black writer, but there are no good Black writers in LA. So we're going to need to recruit in Chicago or Detroit." And everyone's like, what? It was total. Can you imagine? There's no good Black writers in Los Angeles. So cut to the next week. This was a weekly staff meeting. He said, "I've decided not to go that route. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to promote," and it was a woman from a lower rank in the organization, "to this open writer's position, but she's incompetent." And I'm just telling you, Yetide, I was barely able to wash that smell off of me of knowing the full extent of how this person thought about this woman that he was promoting, just automatically dismissing her as incompetent to the rest of the, to the leadership of this organization. And not only that, this person was also a huge sexist. I had an appointment to go into his office to discuss a promotion. I had, I think, a PowerPoint presentation. And before I got started, he looked at me and he goes, "You are so cute. If I had a brother, I'd fix you up with him." End of promotion. Totally negated me as a woman. So
This is where I'm talking about intersectionality, where if there's room for this anywhere, it will come into every element. But what comes to mind immediately, and you're asking about steps people can take now, the quote that comes to mind is Rihanna saying, "Pull up." And that's, I know some people are finding it hard, but considering the horrific events that are occurring, pulling up, I think, is the least that we can all do. And that means in the moment too, now that we are having these discussions, we say, okay, so that something like that happens. That means everyone in that room now is invited to pull up and to stand up for what we know is the right thing to do. And we've spoken as well about these microaggressions. A lot of people are saying they're shocked. A lot of people are saying there are things they did not know or understand. And again, pull up. It's time for people to learn. There's resources out there. We have the internet. There's so much information out there. There's so many people who've been working hard. I mean, one small example, Bernice King, whose father is Martin Luther King Jr. She has been doing this work for her lifetime, and she's continuously sharing information that we can use. And when people start to confront their own complicity, I think that's when we really start to see the change. Again, I need to bring up microaggressions. Most people do not think they are racist or sexist or ableist or or homophobic. A lot of people, if you tell them what you just said, is racist. They would go, what are you talking about? I would never, I didn't say the N-word. I didn't do this. Okay, it's not only saying the N-word. It's not only, and again, I'm taking this example directly from Bernice King. She has a chart that shows the levels and the layers. A lot of times it comes up as someone saying someone's, they just don't like that individual. They think, oh, this woman's too bossy. Okay, but that same behavior by a white male is taken very differently. These are the microaggressions. These are the things that people don't immediately see in themselves. These are the things that when people start to fully examine, we can start to make real lasting change. But that example now that you brought up, if that was ever to happen again, or ever to happen in any space, I hope everyone knows now that their duty is to pull up in that moment.
Absolutely. I think that is a fitting way to end on. I think that, you know, that would not have happened right now, that everyone would have pulled up, everyone in that room. But let's take that as a lesson moving forward and do whatever we each can, and we each can do a lot. And I want you to know I will continue to do everything I can to bring in underrepresented voices to, you know, institutions that I'm a member of in entertainment and media. I will do more than I have, but that's always been very important to me. And knowing you has just been a bright spot of my career. And I want to thank you so much for taking time out during these really challenging times. And I want to wish you good health, good fortune, peace, and equality for all of us.
Well,
So cheers to you, Yetide.
The least I could do was pull up. So cheers to pulling up.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon in a room.
I look forward to it.
Okay, bye.